Greetings. How are you all?
Doing well.
Good morning. Good afternoon to some. How are you all doing today? I can't hear. Okay.
Doing well.
I am well, Dr. Steele.
Good, good, good. Mr. Brandon, are you able to bring in your camera? Because you're not showing up on my side.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm better. I've been sick. I was sick for the last 2 weeks. We have an agriculture childcare here. And when the little people get sick, my age and their age don't blend apparently because I catch everything. So that's what's been going on as far as with my health. I had knee surgery back in November. So, whoo, 2025, here I come. That's all I can say. We're going to get there. I am so grateful, Mr. Brendan, that you're here with us. I want to make sure McCray is how I pronounce your last name, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct, McCray.
McCray, okay. And then we have Miss Patricia Miller from California. She's a farmer from California. And the reason we brought the two states together, because we have agreements in both of your states. And we wanted to innovatively bring people of color or minorities to the forefront, especially during Black History Month, what we're celebrating, as well as from last month. I don't know if you all were able to tap in what we did. We were able to connect with the oldest, the grandmother of Juneteenth, Miss Opal Lee. She also still has an urban garden in Fort Worth, Texas, and hopefully coming in up under as far as part of being part of our chapter, one of our chapter leaders and monarchs, of course, matriarchs, I should say, to show that women of color or people of color are doing things in their community and have been doing them for a very long time. She's 98 years old, by the way, also. So again, I am very appreciative. This is just, again, an outreach event, but we try to make it innovative and call it Women in Ag Wednesday talk show, put a little soft twist to it for women. But we have Mr. Brandon, Mr. McCray is going to bring highlights from NRCS, USDA-NRCS, which is our backbone. I'll just say it. National Women in Agriculture, as the largest minority agriculture organization in the world. Literally, our organization has 66 chapters now currently in the United States, 24 over in Africa and other parts of the country. Alabama is one of our main chapters. Our chapter leader is Miss Cheryl Bell. She is phenomenal. She does a lot of things with the youth in that area, and we're working with her to get pilot resources to become a pilot program to 4-H for at-risk youth. And that will trigger something that we have going on and working with the White House on behalf of women in agriculture and at-risk youth. And without further ado, I'm going to stop there and let Mr. McCray talk about the wonderful programs that all farmers, I don't care if you're part of an organization or not, they have the resources to help you on your farms, in your backyard, acres, whatever the case may be. NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services, is the real deal, people. So without further ado, I introduce to you Mr. Brandon McCray from Alabama National Resource Conservation Services. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Dr. Steele and others on the call. Appreciate you guys inviting us. Of course, my name is Brandon McCray. I'm an Assistant State Conservationist for partnerships here for USDA-NRCS in Alabama. I also bring you greetings from our state conservationist, Mr. Ben Malone. He's tied up at the moment, otherwise he would be on. I do have a short presentation, and I guess I can figure out how to share that. But before I get into that presentation, we're just going to mainly talk about like what NRCS is, how we came about, what we do, eligibility, and I'm just going to focus on two main programs today, which will be EQIP and CSP, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and the Conservation Stewardship Program. So I think there's a way for me to present here, and I will stop my camera and see if I can present. Let's see. Okay. Sure. Okay, give me just a second here. I thought I would be able
Can you use the
to.
present button at the bottom of your screen?
Yes, it's asking me to upload my presentation,
Okay. Okay.
upload file. So give me just a second. I thought I was could just share real time, but that's okay. All right, it says it's uploading. Sorry about that. Well, while it's uploading, if it ever uploads, our systems have been running very slow here lately, but that's okay. I guess I can go on without presenting, if that's okay. Dr. Steele?
That is fine. You just whatever's best, whenever it's something good, there's different forces I think that always try to mess up. But you're streaming live
Okay.
on several of our platforms right now. So I think that Tay's showing something. There it is. Something's coming through.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah.
All right. So, of course, again, my name is Brandon McCray. As I mentioned, I work for USDA-NRCS. So just a little bit of the history of NRCS. It was founded by Hugh Hammond Bennett. He's also known as the father of conservation. And our agency has been around for about 90 years. I believe us, NRCS, and the TVA may be the only federal agencies left out of the New Deal that was started or put forth by President Roosevelt during that time. But kind of our mission and our vision, I guess the main mission, it's an old school mission that we've always had. You can read those, our mission and vision, but mainly is our mission is helping people help the land. And whatever, natural resource issue, you may have, if it's within our scope and if we have tools in our bag to help you fix it, then that's what we do. We'll help the people help the land. Again, here's a little bit more about what we do. We provide financial and technical assistance to farmers and ranchers, private land owners. We even go as far as to help municipalities after storm events through some of our EWP program. And that really benefits a lot of the population. Unbeknownst to them, we have certain roads to blow out or when a storm event happens that may impact, life and structures, we can come in and help those municipalities restore it back to the way it was. And our programs and our technical assistance is based on resource concerns or problems. And to be eligible for assistance for us to help, it's got to fall in to one of these resource concern categories. We call it SWAPA. In the last several years, they've added HE, which is a human and energy element. So soil problems, water problems, air quality problems, plant community and condition problems, such as maybe, for instance, you might have pasture land or hay land, and you just don't have adequate forage for your livestock, whether it be cattle or sheep or goats or anything like that. We can come in and help you, restore your pasture lands. Animals, kind of the same thing. With the scenario with the cattle, we also kind of delve into CAFOs or controlled animal feeding operations, chicken farms, et cetera, et cetera. The human side of that, again, would fall under the program I had just discussed. And of course, energy. We do a lot of things with energy, mainly when I say energy, upgrading poultry houses, maybe like new lighting, energy efficient heating, things of that nature. Let's say you have an irrigation system and you've been running diesel or some type of fossil fuel then we could come in and help restore that irrigation system pump or the pump you was using from diesel to electric. So those are some of the resource concerns that we cover. And of course, how it works. We usually come out. You come into the office. You kind of go over what you have. We'll come out to the field, meet you on your farm, meet you where you're at there, and just help you develop a conservation plan for your operation. A lot of times, in the past, when I was in the field, you'd go out and the producer would explain or describe a certain issue or problem that they're having. And they're thinking, hey, we probably need to spend a whole lot of money. But, usually you go out, you take a look, and we try to work with what's already there. Sometimes the producer might just need to alter something. Maybe it's, is he farming up and down a hill causing erosion, or is he doing contour farming? Or does he need to renovate his pasture land or her pasture land? Or do we just need to get a soil test and apply the right nutrients? So we come on the farm and provide that technical assistance to help fix resource concern. Now, it's done two ways. There's a financial assistance piece, where I'll talk about, and the technical piece, where there's not any funds tied to it. It's just NRCS coming out, providing you that conservation plan to give you that roadmap to help you get your operation where it needs to be, with our conservation practice. We have hundreds of conservation practices that cover a myriad of different type of resource concerns, whether it's from tree planting to grass planting to water wells for livestock water or small scale irrigation. You name it. There's a lot of our conservation practices that are very applicable to most of the landscapes, at least here in Alabama. Now, of course, we talked about the eligibility a little bit, and it talks about what lands are eligible. Ag lands, livestock, forest lands, and here lately, last couple 3 years, we've actually got into the urban sector in places where I think food desert is not the correct term anymore. I can't remember that exact term, but places, in your cities and even not a big city, but maybe where people don't have access to fresh fruit and vegetables, we can come in, help provide a conservation plan, and possibly, if the producer is eligible, some financial assistance to help them maybe install a hoop house or raise beds or micro irrigation and plastic culture, things like that. And that's really been a big hit here in these last couple years. And I just remember that correct term is food insecure areas, not food desert, food insecure areas. So two of the programs I want to talk about is EQIP and CSP. First, we'll talk about EQIP. And EQIP, how it works is, of course, you come to the office, you tell us what you have, you fill out an application, and then we'll come out, we'll assess your needs. We'll come back to the office. If you're eligible, we'll rank your application, and then see where you where you lie at, in the ranking system. Funding is under EQIP is not guaranteed. Let's say if you got funded, then we will provide you standards and specs to implement the practice correctly. We provide you a contract with a certain amount set up in that contract for you to go install that practice. And then once you install that practice, we'll come back, we'll check it. If it meets our standards and specs, we'll reimburse you that amount. Now, on the right hand of your screen, these are some of the initiatives that we have here in Alabama. It's just not all of them, but just several of them. Like, for instance, source water protection. Of course, that's usually conservation practices to just what it says, to protect source water. Keeping maybe cattle or livestock out of creeks and streams, or doing some water quality practices to help that water get clean before it hits that tributary or creek or river or lake or whatever, where source water or drinking water is sourced from. Another one that we have here is longleaf pine. I'm just going to give examples. That's really a big one here in Alabama. years and eons ago, when the Southeast was settled, we had just vast swaths of native virgin longleaf pine, and as areas were settled, they needed timber. So those longleaf pine and those forests were pretty much wiped out, to feed the industry, to build houses and other types of infrastructure. But not only did it wipe out the longleaf pine, it also wreaked havoc on the actual wildlife populations that depend on longleaf pine, like your gopher tortoise, red cockaded woodpeckers, blue indigo snake. So that's a really good one. It not only restores native flora, but it also helps that native fauna to come back as well. Another one that we have here in Alabama, bobwhite quail. That's another one where we go in and help landowners do practices and implement practices to help restore, bobwhite quail habitat. I guess is just what it says. And that small scale in the urban ag, that's a big one here in the last 3 years. That's really taken off. Here in Alabama, we have 5 areas that we target: Montgomery, Birmingham, Mobile, Dothan, and Huntsville, to help our smaller landowners or maybe even a homeowner install certain practices. Pollinators has really been a big hit. The bee populations, if you've watched the news in the past 3 to 5 years, bee populations are on the decline for whatever reason. So that pollinator, helps keep those populations viable. Hoop houses, small scale irrigation. So those are some of the things that we're doing in the small scale and urban setting. Now, keep in mind that you don't necessarily have to be in an urban setting. You can have a small scale operation. Maybe you just got like 1 or 2 acres. And what delineates that is the actual extent that's installed, or the amount, or how much is installed. We have one cost list or payment schedule, that pays, rates by the acre or by the feet. But under small scale, rates will be paid by the square foot and other small increments of measurement. So that's been a real big hit these last 3 years here under the EQIP program. Now, the CSP program is a little bit different. It's a 5-year program, and what it does is it provides the producer a base payment, but it also provides the producer with an additional payment based on the additional enhancements that producer chooses to do. So let's say you're a row cropper, and normally you just apply all your fertilizer at one time. Like one of the enhancements of CSP, which promotes water quality, is maybe 50% fertilizer before green up, 50% after green up. We also have a big pollinator component in CSP as well. Restoration of riparian areas or areas alongside of a stream, wildlife structures, cover crops. There's all types of neat enhancements in CSP to actually make operations better on top of what they're already doing. So that's kind of how CSP works. Again, 5-year program, pays a base payment for what the producer is already doing, and it also pays the producer an additional payment for what they choose to do. All right, Act Now, that's a new policy that we embraced in the last couple of years. I don't know if anyone on the call is familiar with EQIP or signing up. It usually takes a while. If I signed up back in October, then, usually we would start processing things, May, June, and hope to get you funded by, September 30th of the year. But this right here allows us to get conservation on the ground a lot faster, in a lot more efficient manner. In other words, the producer doesn't have to wait. It's just like what it says, Act Now. Producer comes in, they get eligible. We go out, we check what they have. We come back, we rank their application. And if it's got a certain set ranking score, then we'd fund all of those applications. In Alabama, we don't do it like as the producers, this producer comes in, that producer comes in. We do have a batching period, I believe. Matter of fact, we started funding last week. So we'll fund things in batches just to kind of keep it organized, but it is quote unquote first come, first serve, and we'll run that till our funds are exhausted. Now, there's only a certain pools that we have set up in Act Now, like Hoop House was one of them, small scale, urban ag, a few of our different tree planting programs or initiatives rather that we have are under Act Now. So all of our programs aren't under Act Now. We just have mainly EQIP and a few initiatives, that I had kind of just touched on earlier. All right. So one thing I will say about NRCS, I talked about Act Now, and I mentioned our process of how we fund things. We batch things and kind of fund throughout the year. Like for instance, under regular EQIP, I think our sign up date was November 3rd of 2024. But even if you come in outside of a sign up date, we do take applications year round on a continuous basis. So if you go into an office and, they say, hey, we don't have any money, that doesn't matter. You can still sign up. You can, get that technical assistance that you need if you're interested in financial assistance, and you can get on the books and get service. So, the availability of funding for EQIP and any other of our financial assistance programs doesn't really matter. Even though we might not be necessarily funding at that time, we take applications on a continuous basis. So I just wanted to put that out there. So I did talk about a little bit about irrigation practices, mainly micro irrigation. Now we also do other types of large scale irrigation projects, like for instance, moving from like a hose and a gun type situation where the farmer pulls it around the field. We can help out with the installation or the adoption of a center pivot or more energy efficient irrigation practices. Now, one thing about to be eligible for our irrigation practices, you have to have an irrigation history 2 out of 5 years, and that can be, I'm speaking for Alabama now. That can be hand watering or watering with a water hose. It's self-certification that you have actually been irrigating 2 out of the last 5 years. These right here are just some of our fact sheets and on-form guidance that we have online. And I can send this to the organizer later, if or you can just, if you have time or if you're interested, you can just type in EQIP fact sheet, CSP fact sheet, and a myriad and just a whole lot of stuff will come up online. One thing is good is EQIP right for me. That's a fact sheet that we have. Is CSP right for me? That's a fact sheet that we have. So you can just Google that information and everything should come up for you real time. Also, too, if you're unsure where your local service center is at, you can, pretty much on all states, NRCS websites, if you type in NRCS Alabama, of course, our website will come up. You can just scroll down about mid-page, and, it has a function here where you can find your local service center. If you're in whatever county you're in, you just, or state, just click the state. Click the county and hit the search button, and all of the USDA information for your county should come up. All right, here's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about as well, about staying connected. One of a great function that we have, and don't mind this link here. I like to direct people to Gov Delivery. If you sign up for Gov Delivery, you can get, what's going on real time from USDA. Now, mind you, if I'm not mistaken, Gov Delivery has like all the agencies and everything. I just caution people to make sure they click on the information that they're interested in, because if they don't, you'll get tons and tons and tons of emails from all the government agencies and what's happening. So I would, just suggest to folks who sign up for Gov Delivery, it's very simple, but just to select the topics that you're interested in. If not, like I said, you'll get tons of emails. I've got some personal experience with that when I signed up for Gov Delivery, so I had to go in there and change things. So I know that was quick. I just wanted to give you guys a kind of a quick overview of two of our, I guess, our flagship programs that we have here in Alabama. So with that being said, I will stop sharing and yield it back to Dr. Steele.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was very, very informative. And I wanted to make sure that all the ones that were out viewing, that this applies for all of the USDA NRCS agencies throughout the 50 states. The exact information he's given, you could get this, like you, Miss Patricia, Miss Miller, in California, you could access these resources actually in California. It's the same, the resources is uniform across the nation. Also, I wanted to show that we have been blessed to go up to almost, what was it, 6,900 people that weighed in. We captured that, Mr. Brandon, whenever you need it for your records, because we go live on all of our platforms. We're streaming on all 5 of our platforms. So if you look up there at the top, we're live across the United States, and it's going well. So, and I am very thankful that you were able to bring those highlights from Alabama. We are looking to do a Women in Ag, Alabama Women in Ag conference there in your area. Ms. Cheryl Miller is planning on to host something, if not next month, definitely sometime in the spring and summer months.
Okay. Awesome.
There for, and it's just not for women. We want to make this very, very clear. National Women in Agriculture, we serve all people who want to be involved in agriculture, who's farmers, no matter what, culture, race, whatever you're in, we're here to help you connect with USDA NRCS programs. Because again, he didn't mention the most beautiful thing about this, your conservation plan is free. You could ask them to come out to your place to assess your farm vision or dream, and this is all free to you. But you first also need to connect with Farm Service Agency. That's a sister company to NRCS. So we want to make sure that people understand these resources are out there. And in this world or climate, if you are, where we're at right now, people need to start growing their food, raising their food, doing whatever they need to do to make sure they have food. You need to connect with NRCS. So this could not be more timely, and the information you provided was so, Mr. McCray, it was so informative and very organized and clear. Someone even put in there from Kansas. They hear you loud and clear. It was great information. So we're going to move on. So we won't take up too much of you all's time this afternoon.
Dr. Steele?
Yes, sir.
I have about 2 minutes before I have to run
to
another engagement. So if you guys have any questions, Dr. Steele, just please email them to me.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate you guys having me on this afternoon. Thank you.
We appreciate you too. And like I said, we'll get those viewers to you. Again, we'll get the information out there. My assistant will put your information in the chat. So it's, also streaming, but you definitely did your thing today, and we're very appreciative. Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Miller from Cali, how are you?
Steele, and thank you so much. I have to say, Mr. McCray did a fantastic job, and I, as an urban farmer for more than 3.5 decades, I have worked with NRCS for many years through the USDA. So it's a great service, and all of the things that he has said, folks who are on this call, please connect, because Dr. Steele, what you said about we now must grow our own food, there are so many ways to do it correctly.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it's a reasonable way because seeds are not expensive. And of course, if you reproduce your seeds or save your seeds, you're going to always have food. So it's a critical time that you make sure that you get into this industry and make sure that your children, your great grandchildren, whoever, make sure the generations know that you can produce good food yourselves as well as an income. Long as we can't be on earth without food and water and air. So you better get on somewhere.
Let
So
me tell you, here's an equation. Here's an equation I want everyone to think about. Every human being on this planet, at the minimum, eats twice a day.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So looking at that, your radius could be 1 mile in where you live. How many people is that we can connect with and talk and show and preview what can grow locally in your area? Think about it. Twice a day. We can feed people. So it's just amazing. It really is amazing. So I will lead into you, Dr. Steele. And
I love those nuggets that you put out there. We need more people to empower each other how important it is to eat and grow your own food. This makes all the difference in our lifestyles and our quality of life here on earth, but also just tapping into your humanitarian side, making sure someone else has something that's decent and it doesn't cost you very much of anything. So with that, Miss Miller from Cali, I always say Cali, can you tell us, okay, your full name, where you're from, what you do in California?
Thank you. My name is Patricia Miller, and I am a Black urban farmer in Stockton, California, which is in the middle of the state. And the region is the second largest ag producing land within the state of California. So when you talk big ag, that's the conglomerates who own 99% of that land, right? And they are a large percentage is growing monocrops, and that is only one type of crop. Okay. When we get into urban farming, being diverse, knowing where we live in Stockton, San Joaquin County, there is 276 days of growing when it comes to seasonal crops.
Wow.
Because we have beautiful sun, we have very good water, and we've got ag land. Okay. So when you look at that, the growing seasons, it is massive. So knowing that you can produce 4 different seasonal times to grow food, that's the diversity of what seasonal crops look like. Now, also knowing that you should take into account that tomatoes don't grow in the winter. Okay. So a good ripe heirloom tomato growing in California at its peakest time, you can grow so many tomatoes and have a variety that you really don't see in your local grocery stores, right? But once it gets too cold, please don't think you need to eat tomatoes the rest of the year, because there are other types of fruits and vegetables that grow that you can put in your salad. Being very, very diverse, think about this. How many carrots are most folks exposed to, right? An orange carrot, right? But knowing that where I live, the beautiful assorted carrots are purple, are yellow,
Mm-hmm.
are naturally the orange, but the red and the pink.
Hmm.
How many times have you just been able to go out in your backyard, pull up a purple carrot, blow it off, rinse it off, and eat it?
We can here in Oklahoma.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So understanding the diversity is why when I moved here,
Mm-hmm.
I saw all of these tomato trucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, where are they going? Where are they at? And I had to find them to understand what ag really looked like. And I dived in head first.
Okay.
And that was a passion. My professional career, I was in law enforcement
Mm-hmm.
for 27 and a half years. So simultaneously, I did this work. I learned who was in my community. I learned and saw all of the difficulties on with the richest ag land. Why aren't my people eating well? Why aren't they thriving?
Mm-hmm.
What is actually being sold in our grocery stores that it doesn't mirror our land?
Mm.
Okay? Um, so, and that community engagement piece, that was my job within the Stockton Police Department, right? So I had those conversations with all types of women, with
Mm-hmm.
all types of men on what are your children eating every day? How much fruit and vegetables do you have access to? What does it look like for you when you cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner? We don't have to have the simple things that are in the stores.
Mm-hmm.
I started with building school gardens for children,
Okay.
right? With one of the largest unified school districts here. I built over 10 school gardens.
Mm.
But here was the snatch, right? They wanted the gardens at the school. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted the children to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But when is the bounty, right? Late spring, summer,
Yeah.
all the way to fall. When do our schools close?
Summer.
Okay.
Right during the peak of when everything's being produced.
The
Yeah.
children never had access.
Right.
So round and round and round, they were able to grow all of this great food, but
Mm-hmm.
they never got to eat it. And they never had access when the full bounty was
Mm-hmm.
available. So what happens in September? Got to go back in, rip everything out
Mm-hmm.
because nothing was tilled, right? Nothing was harvested.
Mm-hmm.
So we start all over again. Teachers and parents who came out and volunteered, they got tired of that.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. The kids got tired of it.
You have to make it
So
make sense.
yeah, so a lot of those school gardens went to the wayside, right?
Oh. Yeah.
So at the same time, I had to be the voice for those families who didn't have access again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got a call one day while I was in the office from this woman who asked me, Patricia, I've heard all of the things that you're doing. Can you find us land? I said, land for what was the purpose for me, working with you all? Well, we want to build a community farm in in food insecure communities.
Mm.
Okay, all right. I said, so money streams, funding. She said, oh no, no, no. We don't have any money and it's gotta be free.
Mm.
So I I had to pull the phone away from my ear and I prayed really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I just asked God, you got to show me how to do this um, in this area where we don't have resources like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I said, give me 24 hours, I'll give you a call back. And I got to say, I found a way. And the land was free. Um, We had a 5-year renewable lease for free, and that farm is still producing and
Nice.
providing, great things. So that was one of 3 big farms that I helped create. But along with that, I was able to bring in more beautiful Black folk who wanted to till the land and learn how to have bounty every single day when it comes to food. So connecting with farmers and ranchers ultimately connected with people who love to cook. So being able to build chefs and entrepreneurs around food justice, that was another part of what I love to do. So um, I retired in 2020 from Stockton Police Department, and I went to do the farming life. I went and dug deep and put my hands in the soil. Um, I was able to make sure that I understood soil health, um, made sure I understood the water that was recharging the ground, um, connected with USDA, NRCS, all of those agencies. And we have done some amazing things here in San Joaquin County. So, knowing that seed saving, something that you mentioned early on, was the way to make sure that those seeds were only a penny each every time you save them. So you're absolutely right. It does not cost a lot for seeds,
No.
and being able to save your seeds, but share them at a penny a seed. Okay.
Yep.
So the next part is making sure that the seeds were viable, is making sure Mother Earth had everything it needed to grow great food, right? So I got into composting, being able to, and I call it making lasagna. It's about layering Mother Earth with everything she needs to get beautiful black gold. And
That's right.
that is just it smells so great. Most people think when you compost that, you got vermin running around and all of that, but it is not the case. Good soil, if you put it in your hands and you smell it, it takes you back to your grandmother's backyard. It takes you back to sitting under a peach tree that that peach season is going to be phenomenal because of Mother Earth and what she gives us. So I am the only African American female composter in Stockton.
Wow.
And I am licensed to teach. I am licensed to train. I have a wonderful young man, Ahmad, who is here with me. And yes, he should be on the call because he is outside on the farm building our compost right now. So I love you, nephew. And I have heard so many wonderful things about the National Women in Agriculture Association for many, many years. So I tip my hat. Yes, I tip my hat to all of you all.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So my background, seasonal crops, farm design, farm layout, planting, planning with seeds, composting to build the soil, to bring it back to its natural state, and And with that, I had one of another great opportunities back in 2019, which led into COVID. I brought the Edible Schoolyard Project to Stockton. They are still in existence. I no longer work for them. And in 2022, I left that organization as the community engagement manager to start Centerplate Farms, which is my baby. And at the same time, building those African American farmers here locally, we have done amazing things. I am currently working with 2 other African American farmers here in town, and collectively we have about 5 acres that we are building out, and we are growing beautiful food, right? And we are using our own compost. I give it away, I sell it. I'm producing massive amounts of compost.
Nice.
And that is something that in this summer, I will have enough to start selling with on my website. So folks, thank you.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Well, we're gonna order some. Put us down. We'd like to try some here in Oklahoma. In our urban community gardens.
Wonderful. I appreciate that, Dr. Steele. Yes. So, that's just a little bit about me. And I must say, at 65 years old, I'm still moving and grooving, girl. Okay.
Honey, you look wonderful. Black don't crack when they say that, because I'm like, wow. Wow. I am so impressed. And just your whole story being from law enforcement, that's the type of stories we want to get after, especially to the next generation. So they understand no matter what career field you're in, you need to still tap back into agriculture. And that's the whole key of building communities on true foundation.
True.
That's where I feel. I'm like, these people, they could do whatever they want to do. They could bling out, they could play ball, they could entertain, but at the end of the day, the real deal is knowing how to eat and feed and help others from the land.
I'm telling you, I want to be sitting in the rocking chair looking at all of the grandchildren and the great grandchildren coming out to the farm and talking about, baby, go pick that up, pull it out of the soil, blow it off. It don't need to be washed.
Not at all.
Blow it off and eat it.
That's exactly what we actually implement here at our childcare. In our playground, they have we're talking toddlers, because we take them from 6 weeks old, and our programs take them all the way through 18.
Oh.
And our goal is to have these outreach, women in agriculture outreach centers / schools throughout every one of our chapters in America and overseas, because they're self-sustaining, no matter how you put it. Also, we're blessed to have a maternity center here, where the women of the community here, we sit on Martin Luther King in the middle of the hood. We call it Healing the Hood. They could come here for free prenatal care, which ties back into the locally grown foods. Like when they walk in, they're walking past at least 9 to 10 raised beds that come up to my waist that they could pick and eat as they're walking in. But also when they get in, we have growing towers, and we have a station for them to even nurse the baby. Of course, a quiet, nice, calm environment, because in most underserved communities, our environments are loud and it's a lot of stress. So when they come in here, we want it to be serene, healthy on all levels, that you're in a safe place, and you got to be buzzed in and out and all that good stuff. But long story short, with the work that you're doing, from the compost to the seed, the penny seed, I love that concept. You need to trademark that, because I love that concept.
It's coming out, sister.
I love that kind. Like literally, you need to trademark it and teach it. And I will be connecting back with you, because we have to host another conference or big Women in Ag event in California. I keep pushing to LA, but I know LA has a lot of issues right now.
Come to Stockton. Come to Stockton.
Oh, I mean, of course. And we we need to definitely talk about that. Like coming up in the in the spring. This is coming up really soon. We possibly could do something. I'll talk to my assistant about us getting on the calendar and to connect with you and Ahmad to try to make sure we get something going there in Stockton to host an event there. We do have something that we're looking at in Crenshaw that has 15,000 members at a church that they want us to do a program at, which I'm really excited about. We did Compton last year. Again, California is the growing state. You know, our food here is actually shipped in or trucked in from California here in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. We have a warehouse where it goes to before it comes actually inside the city that's 80 miles out, but it comes out of California. Okay. So with that being said, you guys, this event was phenomenal. You see the numbers went up, they dropped back down. I don't know what's really going on the web, but like I said, we're streaming on different websites, our different platforms, and we want to make sure that people understand and connect with you. So because you are a jewel and people need to know what you're doing to do in their area. So if you don't mind, could you tell us your information? I'm going to have my assistant click in here and type how people get in contact with you, visit your website, all that good stuff.
Yes, my website is www.center, that's CENTRE, plate, PLATE, farms, FARMS.com.
Okay.
My email address is centerplatefarms@gmail.com. And my telephone number is 209-598-3647.
Okay. She's going to get it all in and clean up in just a minute. So you want to put right here that 209-598-3647.
Yes.
And then right before the center plates, what is that? At gmail.com. And then put Ms. Harvey trying to put the phone number up under.
See, I can't see everyone in the background on the calls.
Yeah, it's because we're streaming and
yes.
It does something a little different. Well, there we go. We just put you there. You see right there?
I see you. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. And this will go up on our YouTube channel. It'll be out there as well as, again, we'll run it back through a couple more times because this month we are highlighting women like you that are making a difference. We want to make sure the world knows because, as some may know, National Women in Agriculture Association is working diligently trying to meet with our new president regarding things that didn't happen for our organization during the Biden administration. So all this wonderful investigation that he's doing and looking into, we were one of those organizations that $25.5 billion was giving out through USDA programs to different groups. But somehow the largest minority group nonprofit, our organization, was politely skipped over. So when you talk about things that just wasn't right, I have nothing personally against or for either party, but I am for right. And could you imagine if those resources we've been sustaining for 17 years, the 21st of this month. So could you imagine if we would have got even a fraction of that funding with chapters all across the United States, what could happen, including Ahmad's chapter that's right there in your area?
Yes.
What could have happened and could happen, because we're doing it anyway, you know, from the passion and the love and what God gave us and sustaining without funding. So with funding, a lot of poverty issues can be eradicated through our initiatives. So
absolutely
keep us in prayer.
I would love to come and visit you all.
Please do. I mean, we plan to have a youth conference, I know, in April that's loading. It's called French Fries and Sticks. And it's something that I came up, it was supposed to be a dig, but I made it a conference because we were compared from us being sticks compared, our children, sticks compared to French fries, which are 4-H and FFAers who've been getting money for over 120 years. Yes. But we're able to take what that negative and make it a positive and say, even some of your leaders in the USDA made fun of our children and our initiative. And this is what we go through. But at the same time, we're going to show you how we take nothing and make it something. So in April, we plan to do a youth conference here called, and take it. Our goal is whenever we do something on this here at headquarters, it's supposed to be modeled in every chapter. And each one of our chapters, if they have a conference, of course, I try to support it and our team here however we can. Just how we're promoting your organization and what you're doing. That's what we're about, is giving, having a big enough group and giving other people platforms to build from and to make money from. Because every chapter can go for the exact same funding that I go for here at headquarters, because we set it up like that. They're able to use the actual years of experience, if you will, that sit behind them to say, hey, yes, give them this funding. They're good people. We stand behind them. And we have a board and a team that will stand and help promote whatever they're doing. So it's a win-win no matter.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
To God be the glory. It has not been easy, but I'm not going to give up until we get this legislation and things passed. We do have another event that's pending in Washington, D.C. in March. There has been a National Women in Agriculture Day that was declared on behalf of women in agriculture 2 years ago. So there is a day that's named after the organization that I've named 17 years ago. The Senate passed and made it National Women in Agriculture Day. Again, it wasn't for us, but our congressional leaders that has our bill introduced right now. We have a bill, the first ever for women, that's been introduced by Congresswoman Sheila McCormick out of Florida. And other members have weighed in. We're just looking for bipartisan support. So therefore, we have Democrats and Republicans on the bill. But what it does is set aside money for women farmers.
Yes.
So because we are usually lumped as Black farmers as one. However, we know that that's not cut, as we were the example in the Biden administration, that funding do not come to all. It goes to friends, kin, and buddies, corporations. So here we be.
Yes.
So, but I think with this administration, I'm looking at it as a positive, because Forbes has connected with us and they've gotten the story as to what we expect from the Trump administration. I said, well, we didn't get from the Biden administration, just that simple. So It is what it isn't. I thank you, Ms. Miller. Again, you have blessed our platform, our day, in the world. And we want to make sure that everybody that's tuning in and logging on, that they know it's a great day in ag to make that bag. So have a wonderful day,
Dr. Steele.
Thank you so much. And we're just a phone call or a click away if you need us. Again,
I got you.
all right.
I
Thank
got
you.
you. All right. Take care.
All right.